8 a.m. Friday morning. Sydney International Airport. Arrivals terminal. Passengers filing through after long-haul flights. Tired. Carrying bags. Looking for the exit. One man walks through the terminal like he has done it 100 times before. He has no idea what is waiting for him on the other side of the glass. Detectives from NSW's Police's elite Raptor squad and Australian Border Force officers close in from multiple directions simultaneously. He is 37 years old. He has been on the run for 8 years. He has been named on New South Wales Police's most wanted list just weeks before this morning. He has been wanted since 2022 for commercial drug supply and money laundering charges connected to one of Australia's most powerful criminal organisations. He flew in from overseas. He walked through the arrivals terminal, and at 8 a.m. on a Friday, he walked straight into the people who had been looking for him for nearly a decade. His name is Daniel Toutounji, alleged former senior figure of the Comancheros motorcycle club. 8 years of evading one of Australia's most sophisticated law enforcement systems, ended by walking through his own country's airport. Thank you for watching our video. Don't forget to hit subscribe to support us. That single tap keeps us going and gives us the motivation to keep making the next one. Now, let's go back to where 8 years of running begins. Daniel Toutounji grew up in Sydney. He moved through the specific criminal ecosystem of Western Sydney that this series has now documented across dozens of investigations. The same geography that produced Brothers for Life, the Comancheros, and the specific networks that connect Sydney's drug trade to international supply chains. He rose to become what New South Wales Police describe as a high-ranking figure within the Comancheros Motorcycle Club, one of the most powerful and dangerous outlaw motorcycle organisations operating across Australia and internationally. The Comanchero that this series has documented from its founding by Jock Ross in 1966 through Mick Harvey, Mark Buddle, Mick Murray, and Alan Meehan, to a world president operating from an undisclosed location in 2026. Toutounji was part of that structure. According to police, he once held a high position in the organisation, though Detective Superintendent Toutounji confirmed at the time of his arrest that he was no longer a formal member. The charges he faced, commercial drug supply, and money laundering, reflect the specific revenue model this series has documented across the Comancheros operations in Australia and New Zealand. The commission scheme, the supply chains from international sources, the container shipments, the financial architecture designed to make criminal proceeds invisible to the people looking for them. In 2022, Toutounji became a primary target on New South Wales Police's radar. Charges were prepared, warrants were issued, and then he was gone. 8 years is a long time to stay ahead of a law enforcement system that has Strikeforce Raptor, the Australian Border Force, Interpol connections, and the full weight of New South Wales Police's organised crime infrastructure looking for one person. During those 8 years, the Comanchero organisation went through multiple leadership transitions. Mick Murray was arrested in April 2022. Alan Meehan became national president. Tarek Zahed was shot at a gym in Auburn. The New Zealand operation was dismantled in Operation Texas. Duak Ngakuru was arrested in Istanbul. The organisation reshuffled and restructured around him, while Toutounji remained somewhere outside Australia, believed to be in the Middle East, moving, staying ahead, until the Friday morning when he decided to come home. Detective Superintendent Toutounji confirmed police were still looking for a second unidentified man in connection to the same drug bust, believed to be in the Middle East. Toutounji was not the only target. He was the one who came back. Here is the detail that makes this case different from every other fugitive arrest in this series. Mark Buddle, former Comanchero national president, was arrested in northern Cyprus after a top-secret operation involving Interpol agents, the Turkish Coast Guard Command, and local police, a sophisticated multi-agency international operation. Duak Ngakuru, Supreme Commander, was arrested in a specific apartment in a specific Istanbul suburb after years of intelligence gathering. Mick Murray, arrested at 5 a.m. by homicide squad detectives. Every major Comanchero figure in this series required a significant law enforcement operation to apprehend. Daniel Toutounji, allegedly one of the most wanted men in Sydney, was arrested by walking through Sydney Airport at 8 a.m. on a Friday morning. He did not need to be found. He came back. He boarded an international flight. He landed at Sydney International Airport. He walked through the arrivals terminal, and Raptor Squad and Australian Border Force were waiting, because the moment he booked that flight, the intelligence system that had been looking for him for 8 years knew exactly when and where he would be. 8 years of running, ended by a flight booking. The most sophisticated fugitive operation in New South Wales Police's Comancheros investigations, resolved at an airport arrivals terminal on a Friday morning. Acting on highly classified intelligence, operatives from New South Wales Police's Raptor Squad, working in tandem with the Australian Border Force, swarmed the 37-year-old as he attempted to navigate the arrivals terminal. He was taken to Mascot Police Station. He was formally charged with a litany of offences: commercial drug supply, linking him to mass-scale narcotics distribution operations; money laundering, reflecting the financial architecture of the Comancheros revenue model. The charges reflect months of painstaking forensic accounting and surveillance. Detective Superintendent Toutounji confirmed that while Toutounji once held a high position in the Comanchero, he was no longer a formal member at the time of his arrest. He also confirmed police were still searching for a second man, believed to be in the Middle East, connected to the same investigation. The 8 other men on the New South Wales Most Wanted list at the time of Toutounji's arrest remained at large. He was one of 9, the only one who came back. Daniel Toutounji, 37 years old, alleged former senior figure in the Comanchero Motorcycle Club, an SW's police primary target since 2022. Named on New South Wales Most Wanted list weeks before arrest, believed to have been in the Middle East during years of evasion, charged with commercial drug supply and money laundering. Arrested at Sydney International Airport at 8 a.m. on a Friday by Raptor Squad and Australian Border Force. Taken to Mascot Police Station. Formally charged, 8 years on the run, arrested upon return to Australia. A second unidentified man connected to the same investigation, believed to remain in the Middle East. Investigation ongoing. All charges subject to court proceedings. Presumed innocent until convicted by a court of law. Here is what the arrest of Daniel Toutounji actually shows, and the question it raises that goes beyond one man at one airport on one Friday morning. 8 years. That is how long Toutounji allegedly evaded NSW's police, Australian Border Force, and an international law enforcement network that had his name, his photograph, and his charges ready and waiting. 8 years during which the Comanchero organisation he was part of went through 3 national presidents, an international expansion into New Zealand, a 2.34-ton cocaine seizure off the Queensland coast, and the arrest of its supreme commander in Istanbul. He survived all of that by not being in Australia. The first question: what does it say about the specific vulnerability of criminal figures who stay offshore? That the moment they return home, the system that could not reach them abroad can reach them immediately. The border is the line. On one side, 8 years of freedom. On the other side, Raptor Squad at 8 a.m. The second question is harder. He came back. After 8 years, he boarded a flight. He walked through arrivals. A man who had been on New South Wales Police's Most Wanted list for years chose to return to the country where warrants were waiting for him. Why? The public record does not answer that. What drove a man who had successfully stayed ahead of law enforcement for 8 years to make a decision that ended everything in one morning? That question sits in the gap between what happened at Sydney Airport and what led to the flight booking that made it possible. For our community in Aotearoa, the connection is direct. The Comanchero network that Toutounji was allegedly part of is the same network whose New Zealand operations were dismantled in Operation Texas in June 2026. The drug supply and money laundering charges he faces reflect the same financial architecture that moved methamphetamine into Auckland and pseudoephedrine through New Zealand customs. The arrest of one man at Sydney Airport does not dismantle that network, but it confirms something this series has documented repeatedly. Eventually, everyone comes home. What do you reckon? After 8 years of successfully evading one of Australia's most powerful law enforcement systems, what makes a man decide to get on a plane Back to the country where warrants are waiting,